Holy Land Design's Olive Wood Workshop is a place that values community. It values giving the deaf, disabled, or disadvantaged Jordanian a place to work in dignity and with opportunity. And it specifically values women. For the 15 women who work at the Olive Wood Workshop, HLD has often been the next step into new chapters. For some, it was here they first learned sign language. Here they learned to open up their first bank account, or here they first began to dream of saving money for their children to go to university.
For baby, my husband not working.
Jihan, a mother of 4, has worked at Holy Land Designs almost 4 years. She and her family live a floor above the workshop. At one point, when both she and her husband were unemployed, she came down to HLD and knocked on the door, looking for work.
The director of the workshop knew that my children were hungry, and so she gave me something so I could go buy some food for my children. And I will never, ever forget that all the rest of my life.
Now able to help provide for her family, Jihan is also saving for her children's education. She hopes her oldest can go to university next year.
You know, I don't want my children to have the same hardships that I had. I don't want them to go through the same difficulties. And so sometimes we're sitting around the table and it's always we sit together at the breakfast and at the lunch and we drink tea, and sometimes I cry and the director and others tell me no, don't cry, but it's good for me to express myself and know that they understand that I want my children to have a better life, and so they support me in wanting that for my family. I had polio as a child. It was very hard because our house had so many steps that I wasn't able to go out and to go to school.
Rania had to crawl or be carried for mobility until she was 17 and received leg braces. She has worked at HLD for 12 years.
There were a lot of people who wanted to just give me handouts and hand me something because they thought I needed it. And you know, people said, oh, you should try to apply for government things, you should try to get money from other places. And there are people like on the outside who said they would just give us something, but I don't really want to do that. I really wanted to provide for myself and my family.
Rania's dreams for the future center around her 2 children.
Well, the truth is I don't think about my future. I think about the future of my children. And I want them to get to go to university. So I didn't get to go to university, and I didn't get to study at all, actually. And so I want my children to have a university education. That's my hope and my dream. I was always at the house. I didn't get to work. I didn't go out. I just stayed at home and helped my mother and father with things around the house. So I never really got to go out or see anything because of being deaf.
Rudhaina has worked at Holy Land Designs for 4 years. Before, she stayed mostly at home and her communication was limited.
My family has really noticed all of the changes. I started working, I started bringing money home instead of needing money. Now I can help my mother. Now I can help my father. He has bad health now, and so instead of him helping me, I'm able to help him. I have 2 sisters who are going to university, and I can help them with their schooling. My family says that we're like 2 totally different people, my sister and I, that we have changed so much that it's just like 2 different happy people living in our house, because before we weren't very happy. At home, I was always so frustrated, just terribly frustrated. But here I don't get frustrated at all because I have all these exciting, fun things to do. And the work I really like the most is working on the scroll saw. I get to take a design and stamp the ink pad and then stamp the piece of wood, and then I can stamp it in whatever direction I want for how it looks beautiful, and then I get to cut it out on the scroll saw. So when I'm doing that, I never feel frustrated.
Rudhaina hopes to continue her work at HLD.
I don't think about getting married. I don't want to just stay at the house. I get fed up. I want to be at the workshop.
Rehab is deaf and also a single mother. It was not until coming to work for HLD 4 years ago that she learned sign language, to read and write, and how to count money. Not only did the skills open up her world, but she could now communicate with her son in a way she had never been able to.
She didn't have any kind of relationship with him. He would just go run around and play because he couldn't understand her and she couldn't understand him. Now he says, oh, she can write. She said, yeah, I can write. I can do sign language. And he's very surprised that she's able to write. And he's telling everybody that my mother can write. She was showing him, that now she can write tomatoes and make a grocery list.
Rahab also hopes her son can one day study at university. Madia has worked for HLD for 5 years. She uses her income to help provide for her parents and siblings. She says her first goal is to see her family happy. On the side, though, she has dreams of getting a driver's license. Here she comments on how she feels she's been able to advance while working at Holy Land Designs.
Jordan really does care about the role of women and enabling women to be all that they can be. And so you will see in these last years that a lot has been done to encourage women and give them opportunities to advance and to really do something. And that's really true at the workshop. I have a wonderful opportunity. When I first came, I just did simple jobs. And now I've advanced and I have responsibility, and I don't just learn one job. I've been able to learn many jobs, and so that I can do a lot of things well and really advance according to how much I want to learn and to grow.
Noelle is the manager of the women at HLD and has worked there for 12 years. She comments on the kind of people the workshop embraces.
This is a shop for not to speak, for not to walk.
While Noelle was shy at first to volunteer to be the manager, she said she didn't think anyone else would think about the women the way she did.
I was so excited that I couldn't even speak to think that I could be the director of the women.
When I take the money, think for myself, no. I think, what do you do? Sister, what do you do? Brother, what do you do? My mother, what do your uncle?
Since working at HLD, Noelle has used her income to put in a sink and running water at her family's home, as well as put her younger brother through university. She also got a driver's license in 2009 and now drives to work every day. Katie, a volunteer, has gotten to hear many of the women's stories at HLD.
I feel like every girl has a story about how her life is different from the shop. Think of people like Alia, who was really sad for the first few years that she worked here, and now that was years ago, and I would have never known because she's always joking and laughing. I remember this really fun time where we were both really hungry and waiting for a super big lunch, and so she sneaks me back into the back kitchen. And so we're in the back giggling and laughing and eating out of the bottom of the bowl. So all these girls, all of them, to different levels and degrees, have been able to feel loved and in return love. And I think there's just this expectation that each girl has a place, and that each girl has belonging, that each girl has an important role to provide for the whole. People just have their place here, and therefore it's okay if somebody drops a camel or cracks a piece of wood or whatever. That really the product isn't what is most valued here, and that really rings true in all areas of the shop. So I'm really excited about thinking of the futures of generations that come from this shop. Their momentum forward in bettering their families and themselves has not been squashed. And it's been, in fact, I think it's been ushered forward.